Hello, everyone. I am Shelly Dressel. I channel the universal light beings. Albayon is from Arcturus, Brysentia from the Pleiades, and then Crystallia is from the Omniverse. I've been doing this I've been channeling for close to 30 years, and I've been channeling the universal light beings for about 7 or 8 years now, maybe 9. Anyway, we tap into the energies of things that are happening. They give you it's a lot of energy work and information about stuff that's going on, and everything, as you know, is a frequency. So it's up to each one. Sorry, I'm already starting kind of, I'm half in, half out. Anyway, it's important to listen to this. If it resonates with you, then take it all in. But then know that if things don't, if this does, but that doesn't, it's always important with everything you learn, no matter who you're listening to tap into yourself, to pay attention. Does this resonate with me or does it not? There's always a massive amount of things that you can learn. But this is also about you learning how to tap into yourself, tap into your frequency, and how to strengthen your vibration through these alignments. Okay, I did not intend to do that, but that just kind of slipped on in there. Must be that people need to hear that right at the beginning. So as many of you know, Alexander is someone who's been working with me for over 3 years. It's been wonderful. And he is moving on to some different things. So you won't be seeing him on here anymore. He's the one that kind of gets my questions and everything ready, but he's done a lot of other things in the background too. So he's just been a massive support to me. I truly appreciate him and everything that he's done. And I just wish him well. He's moving in a new direction. We all grow, and he's following his growth and following his where he needs to be. Okay, so with these channels tonight, this channel tonight, it tends to be a little bit long. So I know I have a feeling that sometimes people come in and go out, and I've considered different opportunities or different ways of doing this. And but this is just what I do. I just go 1, 2, 3, following each one of them, and I do as much as I can. Sometimes sometimes it goes a little bit more quickly. Sometimes it does not. It just depends. For those of you that like the Goddess Light meditation, I just had it a couple of nights ago. And the original part of my channeling and my business is Goddess Light. And that is Goddess Light LLC. The Goddess of Creation is someone that I've been channeling since 2001. And she is, just gives us meditations that allow each one of you to have your own personal experience that's helping you to grow and expand in whatever way you are. So, so it's this week. It was super, super good. I just absolutely loved it. But that's on goddesslight.net. And you can always find the most recent one right there on the homepage. And I don't have the transcript up yet, but you can listen to it, watch the video, read the transcript, the different things that you want. And I do post this. This is on Facebook, YouTube, and Rumble. But if you could always just go back to my websites, Crystalline Transformations for this one and Goddess Light for the other one, and that's where you can kind of find everything in one space. Okay, there was another thing that I wanted to mention here at the beginning. I'm trying to remember what it was. Oh, Facebook. Okay, I have been getting messages, and you know how this is streaming on Facebook. Anything that is going into, whether it's your own personal things or business pages, which Goddess Light is kind of considered a business page, they are only going to keep them for 30 days now. At this point, you can go back years, and if you want to scroll back that far, you can go back a long, long time, and you can see all of these streamed channels that I have done. But in starting July 1st, they're going to just keep them for 30 days. And that's just their decision that they've made to do. I don't know if it's about storage or time or length, or I don't know why they decided that, but they did. And but you can always find it on YouTube. You can always find it on Rumble. You can always find it through my websites. But you for the time that it's streaming, it will still stream live, and you will be able to see it for at least a month afterwards. All righty. So since the last time, I have done two minis. One about I find it very interesting. This is just me talking. They had the riots in LA. Not good. It's never good to have riots. And then they were talking about there was a lot of scuttlebutt that they were going to incite riots in many cities across the U.S. Last weekend. So I worked with the energy. Many people did, and when I did a ULB mini about that, and I think Brysentia was the one that came through. But she was talking about how as Gaia purges the cellular memory of the violence that's been on this planet, that there was all this violence going on, but it was also a means of purging from the earth. Doesn't make any sense to me, but that's what she was saying. And then some of these fires, some of these floods, all of these different things have been about clearing out the energy of Gaia so that we can integrate something that is new. And then there's a second one in there about Israel bombing Iran and, kind of the things with that. I do hope that they might speak a little bit more about that, because I saw this huge swell of energy coming up in Iran as if they're going to take back their country, as if they're going to go back to it. Because, I mean, it used to be, as Persia especially, it's just a beautiful oasis and, very progressive. So under this fanaticism that they've had for the past, 30 years, 40 years, it's not what it was before. And I have the strong sense of it going back to what it used to be. And so it was one bad guy against another bad guy. And I feel like that's all just going to bring everything up to the surface. So you can see those two if you're interested. Go to the website, crystallinetransformations.com, and they're right there on the homepage. Okay, that's everything. That's kind of catching you up on everything that I've been doing the last couple of weeks. And here we are, moving forward. So I never know who's going to come through. I kind of have an idea who it might be, but we shall see. So thank you everyone for being here. It just means the world to me, because I see a lot of your names, and there's a lot of you that I know personally, and I just really appreciate the fact that you've been following and coming in and sharing your thoughts and love with me. It's just wonderful. It really feels great, and I just want to tell you I really appreciate all of you. If this is your first time, don't forget to subscribe if you like it. Subscribe and then have the notifications come up. But anyway, you're from all over. You're already in here, and I love it. Feels like family. Thank you. I totally agree. It does feel like family. Okay, so let's get started. Whew. Greetings. It is I, Brysentia. I come to you at this time to have this experience of energy transformation. We're coming up on the solstice for where Shelly is. It's the summer solstice, where, those in the southern hemisphere, it'll be the winter solstice. And that's always, any of the solstice or any of the equinox are pivotal times on the planet. Throughout history, prior to this time when you've had specific calendars that say this happens here, throughout history, it's been the solstice and the equinox that really created changes, bringing in energy or clearing out energy, so that the world could continue to move in whatever direction it was going through at that time. So these are always very important times. This Saturday, the 21st, which of course, it'll already be the 21st before it's the 21st and 1. But anyway, howsoever you tap into it, this is a really pivotal time that you can open to receive not new energy, but a different frequency or a different type of energy that's coming in. There has been higher light frequencies that have been coming in for a very, very, very long time. There has been a great deal of disclosure. I recognize that the majority of you want to have things out way more than what it's been coming out, but even having a lot of things that are coming out through the alternative media or coming out in the background and people talking about it, that is putting it into the energy. And so there has been a massive clearing that's been taking place. And now in particular, this past week or 10 days, there has been an opening of portals in various parts of the planet that are really anchoring a lot of this energy right now. So when it comes up to the actual day of the solstice, that's going to be like the peak time. But anytime those 2 or 3 days ahead, 2 or 3 days after, that's when you can tap into any of that peak energy. But this time it feels like it's been even longer that they've started downloading the energies. Now, when you think about this, you may think, who's they? Where's this coming from? Well, it's coming from the universe, all the planets that are in your galaxy, and then your galaxy as it relates to the universe, and whatever it may be. Everything is in alignment of how it rotates around each other. And with each of these alignments, it amplifies and it helps. They work in synchronicity with one another. So it is this alignment and it is this amplification of the energies that is allowing for this higher vibrational frequency to come in. Now, in addition to that, we've spoken of Albayon speaks frequently about the motherships that have been coming in. Those motherships that were around the planet created a sense of, you could call it a shield, or you could call it a filtration device or something like that, that was allowing for the, how do we say this? That was it was not only protecting the earth, but it was allowing for things to happen on the earth that could kind of come up and then anchor and settle in. So coming from within the earth and then coming from outside of the earth. So what this shield was doing is, if there were too much of the nefarious ones, I know, I hear what you're saying. I know there were a lot of things that were going in and out for many, many, many years, but that is all a part of this change that's going on. So to many people, they may still just be living their life, not knowing anything about what's happening. And that is not meaning that the energies have not transitioned, that the energies are not anchoring as they are, because indeed they are still anchoring. You've heard people talk about light codes. Light codes are energy frequencies that come in that are specific codes that interact with your DNA and interact with your energy field. And that is what a lot of these are. In addition to that, as we get into this solstice, and then as we move beyond it, there is, it sounds so dramatic to say a place of no return, but that's where you are. You're at a place where the vibration is going to rise to a particular frequency and it will no longer go back down, right? The third dimension's gone. We've said that for 2 or 3 years now, but that lower fourth dimension, and I say these words only as a means of you understanding the differences, that lower fourth dimension is kind of taken over what was happening with the third dimension. And so that is now going to begin to shut down. So when we say that things are incompatible with the higher vibrational frequency, this is what we mean. Those places on the earth, within the consciousness of the earth, that were vibrating at that lower frequency, they are no longer going to find any sort of a frequency that will support them. Now, I know that there are many of you that feel, no, that's not true. There's always going to be that. You cannot get rid of it. And, for some people, that may be their reality and that may be the perception. But what I have found as we've gone through this huge transition is that every time we take another big step, it's not as if it comes in and then it shuts the door and that's it. It comes in and that's quietly closing that door. So it happens over time so as not to be too abrupt or too not harmful, but too hard on people or too harsh. This is also about really, really, really helping people that are ascending or transitioning or having whatever the experience may be that's there in their unconsciousness, move it forward into their consciousness. So think about what you guys have. You guys all have the potential, because you know this, to say, okay, then let's really work with my unconscious. Let's shine the light in there. Let's bring it all forward. And you may say, well, what's it going to do for me? Why do I need to do that? Well, as everybody's DNA is activating, as it's integrating more and more of those light codes and that light frequency, that is what will help you to then have your strengthened intuition that will help you to see things more clairvoyantly, hear things, know things, whatever it is that are your intrinsic gifts. It will amplify all of those intrinsic gifts. And then on top of that, as you start living your life with these new abilities around you, you see life differently. Now, it's so important to know what's going on, to know that there are things that are still happening, to know that, meaning the riots, meaning the negative people, meaning the bombing, the different things like that. Yes, that is still going on. Yes, that is still having an impact in certain places. But the key here, or the difference here, is that it is not going to take over. It is not going to be a world war. It is not going to be what some of the people have been anticipating that it would be. And this is people's reality. This is a perfect example of people's realities. For those that are stuck and keep going around and around on that wheel, then they see all of this as just more of the negativity and more that nothing's changing and more that nothing is happening. But the greater amount of people that do understand it and do know that this is different is going to allow it to expand even further, until those that do not understand will shrink down even more. Some of them will come into understanding, and some of them are the NPCs, and they may just disappear. We are not at that place yet where the NPCs will be gone. They're still going to be around for at least another 6 to 9 months or so. But even if you look at it now versus 1 to 2 years ago, there's way less of them now, but they are still going to be infiltrated into everybody's society, because they still have a role to play. And that role is about waking up, is about showing things. And therefore, all of you that are here, that are conscious, that have a soul, that are living this life, it's up to you to then really, in your own meditations, in your conversations, to really expand and grow and anchor in all of these new things that are coming in. So another thing that I did want to speak about is, you could call it like time travel, or you could call it timeline shifting, different things like that. I know that Albayon has spoken about it, but as more and more of your soul begins to become a part of your everyday reality, there are going to be opportunities where, through your own soul consciousness, you will have access to other lifetimes that you've had. Now, when it, like, say if you were to go up and look at your soul, and I'm just giving you one perspective. Everybody may have a different perspective, and no one is better or worse than the other, but this is one that's kind of goes along with those analytical minds. So when you go up into your soul essence and you kind of look around at your past lives, there are many of your lives that you can look at, and you can say, oh, hey, I remember that, or, oh, yeah, that had a big impact on me, or, oh, that was kind of a nothing lifetime. So there were these lifetimes that were very important and not so important, but they're still like hanging out in the area where your soul energy is. And as these integrations continue, some of those lifetimes that were still there, holding a space in the consciousness of your soul, are now going to be absorbed into your soul, so that it's less of an impact on you. You may not think, oh, I don't have any impact on it. But if you can go into your soul and you can see it, it has an impact on you. That's part of what makes up your cellular memories and your cellular energy. And so as those become absorbed, then it's like, say, and again, just pulling a number out of a hat, but say you had 100 lifetimes up there, that you could easily tap into any one of those 100 lifetimes to learn something. Well, as these absorbed, maybe it drops down to 50, and then it drops down to 30. And the more that they get absorbed, then the ones that are left behind have a much more distinct energy in them. Now, it's not always about healing and fixing. It is also that you probably have had lifetimes where you were maybe in a position of authority, and that's something that you need to learn to have this time. Maybe you had lifetimes that were of massive abundance, and that's something you're struggling with now. So you can then tap more so into your own personal cellular history and remember, oh, that's right. I am abundant. I can manifest that. That is my reality. And in addition to that, just looking at things that so many people in this time space reality have a lot of, like depression and mental problems and other things that may be going on. So this is yet another way in which you can go up there and say, is that just something this time, or is there a history of that maybe I need to look into? And all of that will become much more fluid for you because you have now absorbed those lifetimes that were less of an influence than you no longer need. And also because with the transition of energy, the higher you can vibrate, that keeps you closer to your higher self, especially closer to the level of your soul, the more that you're able to just have these experiences. And it expands everything for you so that you are doing so much better. Okay, so this is all what's coming up with the solstice. Now, in the past, sorry, I downloaded too quick for Shelly. So in the past, like in the summer solstice, it's about celebration and being outdoors. The winter solstice is about being indoors and nurturing and creating from inside of you. But with the goddess of creation, when she had the meditation the other day, what was very interesting and different was it really started out with the summer solstice with the wide open energy of that very long day, the longest day of the year, and so much coming into it. But then as if you see it kind of going through the planet, and we're looking at this, I mean, as a little bit linear, but then as it got down to the shortest part of the day, that was a means of anchoring it. And in anchoring it, it allowed the shortest day of the year to then become more expanded. So if you think about that, this is something that has not been consciously done for a very, very, very long time. There were people back in the ancient times that used to do that. That was part of their solstice ritual, was not only anchoring the longest and the shortest day of the year, but being able to be present, whether it was the longest or the shortest, with the opposite. And so that's what this meditation was talking about. And you can go and experience that if you so choose. But the reason that I'm bringing it up, or I wanted to make note of it right now, is that it's another way of showing you that you don't need to just sit here and have your life and feel as if you're being dictated what you think and believe because of what your experiences have been. This is about saying you can make changes, you can create what you want. And as you create what you want, then you can also learn how to live in a vibration that is different than what you have had before. In the history of society, as it's been the last 50, 100 years, if you were very, very poor, it would be hard to manifest something abundance because your vibration was different. So this is about learning to be fluid in between all the different levels of vibration and be able to, in doing so, be able to manifest much more easily. I feel as if that's a little bit convoluted, but everyone's been getting downloads, and hopefully it'll make more sense to you as you're looking at it. But anyway, we always have a lot of questions. Let's just go ahead and jump over into the questions. Speaking through David Wilcock, Archangel Michael said that the ETs will give their life to stop the nuclear demise of the Earth and humankind. How long ago did he say that? Because this feels like something that was from a very long time ago. First and foremost, there is no nuclear explosion that will take out the Earth. That was decided 100 or several, maybe as much as 1,000 years ago. That was decided long ago, that the Earth would not explode through nuclear war upon it. So I felt like that was the biggest part of that, okay, if there's going to be this massive nuclear explosion, then the ETs will come in and try to stop it. Well, it's not even on the plate. It's fear mongering, and you can step into that fear and revel in it if you want to, because, oh my gosh, I'm so scared. But that's not good, because what that does is that creates an energy that goes up, and the nefarious ones, they love that energy. And so we've been learning how to starve them by not giving as much of that energy as they've expected to have in the past. So first and foremost, there will not be a nuclear war that takes out this entire planet, period. End of discussion for that. Now, the question of that, if there is something that's going on here, Are there certain ETs that would give their life trying to change it? Of course, you know, that's kind of what their job is. Their job is to be here, not only to educate us, but to interact with us as we all are remembering who we are. Many of us are ET energies ourselves. And it's about remembering, oh yeah, I can do that too. I don't need them to do it. I can do it myself. So there are many, many that would do that. But as I said at the beginning with that, as Albayon said it the last time, when that one of the motherships that left, and now it's completely gone, it's completely out of the atmosphere here, that was the one that kept filtering out and taking out all those huge negative things. And when there were specific individuals that were taken out, they would go to that ship or transported out into another universe that was that really low vibration still. And so the fact that that ship is gone, that's telling us that we no longer have one of those anchors here that's keep gathering up people, gathering up people, gathering up people. There are still negative people on the planet. There are still people that would love nothing more than war, but there aren't enough that they can get away with it anymore. And all of these things that have been happening, all of these things, like when you guys say, give us the disclosure, get over it already. You know, what you're going to find out is that many of these truly negative people have already been removed off the planet. And there is someone that is just kind of playing their part, if you want to call that. So here's a question that just went through our minds sorry, mine just went blank. So the nefarious ones have had cloning factories that go back 100 or more years, 200 years. No, not 200, 100 to 150. And you cannot clone. Cloning is something that takes a specific type of energy and a specific type of machinery. And a lot of that was brought down by the nefarious ones and the nefarious ETs to be able to fill that. Well, when the Earth and everybody that's been working with this have removed those people, it's taken out the vibration, it's taken out the process, it's taken out the ability to clone like they were before. There are those that keep thinking, oh, I'm going to keep it going, I'm going to keep doing this, and I can figure it out. I worked with them before, and I'm going to step up, and now I'm going to be the top dog. But they're not going to get there. They're not going to get to where these other people were, because there's just not enough energy to support them. It's just not going to happen. So I hope that kind of answers that question. It kind of went off in two separate directions, but hopefully that has answered that. Do you see or know if our Hawaii governor, Governor Green, will be removed ASAP? Let's look at Hawaii. And now let's look at Governor Green. It feels as if, like when we look at him, his energy looks dark and negative, and we see these spikes of light that are coming in. So that my interpretation of that is that people are well aware, those that, you know, the white hats or whatever you want to call them, they're well aware of him and what he's been doing and his nefarious deeds. And he's either already been taken out or he's very close to be taken out. And there were a lot of people that were taken out just because they were that bad, that horrible, and they put in a replacement. So it feels like what's going to happen with him is he's going to be taken out, and there's not going to be like a fake him that's going to be put in place. So it could be that he's one of the ones that is going to be a part of all this disclosure. But as I'm looking at him, I do not like, okay, I like to do it like this some way. Is he going to be there a month from now? Yes. Is he going to be there 2 to 3 months from now? It feels like this is going to happen between the next 2 to 3 months, that a lot more information about his deeds are going to come out. He was directly involved in everything that happened on Maui. He was directly involved in because they're out in the Pacific like that. He let a lot, people are talking about like the borders and everything coming in here, but there's a lot that went in through Hawaii, and there's a lot of the negativity that was brought in through Hawaii also. Okay, so yes, he will be gone. not immediately, but it feels like within just a few short months. And it is going to be a part of the big disclosure. Watching live from Melbourne. Any truth in the mile-long volcano on the west coast about to erupt and the many earthquakes and tsunamis coming? Is it related to the pole shifts and the coastal destruction worldwide? I mean, this is like talking about Western Australia, then it's talking about worldwide, and then this feels like it's talking about many different places on the planet. So let me look first and foremost at that volcano. There is a volcano, and it does feel as if it's going to erupt, but it does not feel like it's going to be as bad as people are saying it's going to be. It feels like there are many energies that have been working with it that are trying to counteract it, that are trying to keep it from being as bad as it is. I mean, how do you shut down a volcano? You don't. But it feels like there were a number of people that were trying to make it worse by causing earthquakes and by causing other things to happen inside. Crazy thing, but this just popped into my consciousness. But I feel as if there's a lot of dragon energy around it, and it's almost as if the dragon is absorbing, families of dragons are absorbing some of that excess fire so that it does not come out as like an eruption of a volcano. So I don't even know 100% that it's going to erupt, but it feels like it's changed. It feels like it's shifting. It feels like there have been earthquakes, and some of these earthquakes were caused by blowing up dams and doing other things that were clearing out. Australia was one of the biggest centers for a lot of the dams and where people wanted to go when the war, the nuclear war, when they had to go underground for 1,000 years or whatever they thought they were going to have to do. And so there has been, and there's been a lot of heinous crimes and things done in those dams underneath Australia. So that is something that that's been in the process of being taken out for the last 5 to 8 years to 10 years, not 10 years, but 5 to 8 years. And so you will see more of that too, but that's what's causing a lot of these earthquakes, and that's what caused that to start erupting again. And then they came in and they were trying to amplify it through other earthquakes and through other, technology like HARP type things, but it doesn't feel like it's going to be as bad as people are threatening. Okay, let me look at the pole shifts now. Okay, so this happens every so many thousands of years, and it's just a part of the cycle. And it feels like this has been going on for quite some time. And as everything just gets left alone, and as they quit with all the different HARP, and as they quit, manufacturing problems on the earth, then it feels like that will just kind of complete that process. And that when the poles shift, it's about the magnetics of the earth. So that's about something that is inside of the earth, and the way that it is generating out through the North Pole, the South Pole, and where, even including your what do you call it, your the magnetics of the earth and your gravitational pull. So all of that is just, it's like it's on a rotation, and it is more impacted by the moon and the sun and the planets out in the universe than things that are happening on your planet. So there have been some that were trying to slow it down or keep it from happening, but as that keeps shifting, the animals, meaning the whales, the sharks, the big animals that are in the ocean, it confuses their sonar. So you might see some of them coming up on beaches, and it happens very, very slowly so that they do not get stuck like this. But it feels like that could still be happening, but it doesn't feel like it's going to be as bad as some people say. Now, I just don't believe that there's going to be like massive earthquakes. I don't see massive earthquakes. I don't see tsunamis taking out, parts of the countries. And there have always been tsunamis. There have always been tornadoes. There have always been earthquakes. There have always been these natural experiences, because Gaia is a living planet. And with any living being, there are times that you have to let loose of the energy that's stuck up, that's contained, and it has to be let loose to move on. And so some of this is all just the natural habitat of the planet. But what gets amplified is all the mechanisms that have been done that have purposely created situations that were not for the betterment of all. But that statement with all those things in it, there was a lot of negativity in that. There was a lot of fear in that. And I just feel that it represents a lot of things that are blown out of proportion. I don't think it doesn't resonate with me that that's what's going to happen. Whew, big answers in these today. Let's give it a go. The circle, the square, and the triangle. Can you explain a little bit about the energetic information of this symbol? So are we looking at this superimposed over one another? Are we looking at them as simple individual symbols? Because if you look at them as individual symbols, they all represent different things. The 4 angles that are in the square, the 3 angles in the triangle, the no angles in that. When you take those symbols and you superimpose them upon one another, circle with a square and a triangle inside. Okay, yep, that's what we were thinking. So when I see this, you got, and even if you're looking at it all put together, you have to consider that each symbol has its own vibration and its own frequency. And then when you take it and you put it together, it changes, it amplifies everything. And this is a way of, we see it kind of breaking down energy of things that are around it. You can have anything that you want and it's just there and it's flat and inert. But when you take either, whether it's a symbol or whether it's the sacred geometry, you take it then and you amplify it with the energy, be it coming from the universe or coming from the sun, wherever it may be coming from. And that's when it really has a lot more power and a lot more impact that's coming in. It almost looks like a laser beam that's coming through that can cut through things, that can, be it old energy, be it stuck energy. It's like a laser that comes through and cuts. And it is because you've taken those 3 symbols, each one with their own separate properties. And then when you put them together and then when you amplify it, it changes everything. It enhances things. And it causes it to react in a different way. Now, you can look at this and use it as like some big massive laser that's cutting through rocks, or you can use it as something minute and different that is creating a change inside of you. You can use it for energy surgery, like laser surgery, if you want to call it that. You can use it for working through your unconsciousness. You can use it for getting rid of old belief systems, whatever it is that you want to use it. Just as anything that you're going to deal with, it's the energy that's behind it. It's your intention. And that is how it all works together. And it's going to have its own intrinsic reality, if you want to call it that. And then as you connect to it and you use it, then it's going to amplify because of that. And if you just use it like say a magnifying glass that starts a fire underneath it, you can have that magnifying glass and look and see words bigger, or you can put it out in the sun and it starts a fire. So you can take something and the way in which you use it creates a different response. But those are 3 very powerful symbols, and they're the foundation for sacred geometry, and the interaction of them can create big changes, and it can become a very powerful tool. Whew. Okay. Is it true that the big meteor, I think they meant, is going to hit somewhere in California this year and cause big time flooding? There is no meteor that's going to hit California. I don't see it happening that way. There has been a great deal of change in, weather systems. There are places that didn't get much rain are getting a lot of rain. Places that usually are very dry are getting rain. Places that usually get a lot of rain are not having rain. So all of the weather systems are changing. Some of these are due to HAARP, and some of these are due to just the natural changes that are going on with Gaia. But is there a meteor that's going to hit California? I just don't see it. Now, here's the question. Is there something like a meteor? Is there some, meaning is, I'm wondering now, because like, as I'm looking at it, I don't see like a meteor rock coming from the universe coming down and hitting the earth. I don't see that. However, we've just, at the very beginning here, I just talked about all of these energies and like these blocks of energies that are coming in. Is it just an impulse of energy that's coming in and is going to like hit the ground and create changes? We need that desperately. You need that desperately all over the world to have these impulses of energy to come in and smack into the earth and shift the vibration of the earth. And there has been a great deal of things happening in California. So that is what I think is much more likely. And I just don't see it as a meteor itself, but more as like balls of energy or impulses of energy. Okay, the what is it called? Those weapons, those energy weapons, is it going to come from something like that? And I get a no. I feel as if this is going to be something much more natural and organic, and it's not only California, it's going to be happening in many different places. And I have talked about how the earth has been so contaminated for so very long. And one of the ways in which it's going to be cleared out or clean is not only people with the staff, bam, hitting that and changing the vibration. It's going to come from within and coming up through the earth that way. But the earth needs to be purified, and that's what the rain is for. That's what the fires are for. There's many, many, many different things that are going on, and all of this is about cleansing all of the chemicals, the biowarfare, the different things that have been going on, so that will no longer be available on the earth. Red light therapy, is it safe? Yes, I feel like red light therapy has a lot of, light. This is UV light or LED light, or they're different frequencies. There's different colors that people use, and I would say pay attention to the people that make it, because it doesn't feel to me like it's something that's monitored. So like if you buy the red light therapy from this company versus the red light therapy from this company, one is going to be very well made and very much in balance, and this one is, it has the same intention, but it's not as strong, or it doesn't work as well, or it's imbalanced. And so I feel as if not all red light therapy is created the same, and that is just because of society. But I do feel as if it is a way of shifting the cells, of clearing the vibration, and it does create greater balance in the body. I've seen it with blue light. I've seen it with white light. I've seen it with red light. I've seen it with all these different things. And so it's about finding that which resonates with you. So do your research on it and see what you can find. All right. Is that it? All right. Then I will just take this time to say goodbye, and Albayon, I believe, is coming in. So thank you as always. I truly appreciate this opportunity to be with you, and know I'm ever with you. Ansaluia. Greetings. It is I, Albayon. And hold on a second here. Shelly needs to let her dog out. Okay. She spent the whole time that Brysentia was talking, wanting to get out. So I just decided to leave her out so it's not as distracting. So greetings. It is I, Albayon. I come to you this night, and my first intention to speak with you is about the many, many changes that are taking place out in the universe. There have been, when you consider the various planets that are somewhat close into where you are, the universe is one of the ways in which there have also been changes taking place, like looking at Venus, looking at Mars in particular, looking at some of the other planets that you might not necessarily have a name for. Everything has been going through this change of this ascension process. And this what Brysentia was talking about, this new vibration, this new light code, this new frequency that was coming in, has already gone through some of these other planets and has gone through that corridor, if you want to call it that, that brings the energy down and into the earth plane. So it's important to know that your universe around you creates a bit of an anchor. It creates a bit of a support. It creates a space in which not only are they experiencing what you are experiencing, but they may be doing it differently, or they may be having, like where you were 50 years ago, that's where they are now. Where you will be in 50 years is where they are now. So all these different experiences are interacting with each other. And that is a part of what is creating this change. There has been a clearing out that goes through your entire universe, so that when you connect to the central sun, those of you that like to do your meditation, and in your meditation you connect and say, hey, let me connect to the central sun. Let me go get into my source, my personal source energy, or the source energy, of all of this universe and every universe. And that is where you can see some, I don't really call it change per se, but what it is there has been so many overlays that kind of filtered things, so that this central sun that has its own heartbeat, that has its own way of sending out rays of energy and light, it's been filtered in such a way that you didn't get the full effect. So as all of these planets are moving through their changes, and as the earth is moving through its change, the central sun is having less of a filter, and therefore is shining on the earth more. And that's where these light codes are coming from. And that's where these changes are coming from, that are going to be amplified on the solstice in just a few days. Now then, the question, or one of the things that arises, is there are some people that are saying, well, they see two moons, or they see two suns, or they see a series of suns. And some of what's happening here is it's an illusion. There are certain planets that have multiple suns and multiple moons, and that's very evident as you're looking at them from being on that planet. It has been typical for the planet Earth that there was the sun and the moon in opposition to each other that rotate around the planet Earth, and in doing so, it creates your moon, your nighttime, your daytime, and they also have an impact on the currents in the ocean, and the crops, and the different things that are going on. So as these filters are being removed, and as the energy and the vibration is shifting, what you may see is a perception that there are two moons that are either side by side to one another. I don't see it coming up that they're total opposite sides of the planet, but more so it's like, is there one there or two there? There are other people that have shown or seen pictures or images, or that for themselves, that the sun, instead of it being like an orange or yellow, has been looking like it's white. This is the differences in frequency. This is the differences in what's going on. So whether you see multiple of images, or the images, the color of those images look different, part of it is because you yourself, through your own filter of what you are seeing things differently. And partly the central sun, in what it's sending out through the universe, is sending out new and different information. Nothing is stagnant, nothing. So even the central sun, and that is the source of everything. That is God's source, everything in every universe. And so even that continues to change, because it's alive. It's as anything else, it's alive. So that's why, as the planet is changing so much, the solar system is changing so much, the central sun, be aware that there will be many things that will come across as new and different to you. And it's just very important for you to take it in. You don't need to be afraid of anything. You don't need to think, oh my gosh, with two suns, we're going to blow up. People have this fixation about blowing up. You're not going to blow up. So just take it in, with the understanding that there will be more and more information that will come out about it. And the more that information comes out about it, the greater your understanding. And you're also going to begin to realize that this is what is also supporting you in the energies of these integrations of these light codes. which is, it also goes back to that expanding of your DNA. Everybody's DNA has the potential to be filled with many other things, way more than what you know of right now. And so as these light codes are coming in, it's activating these aspects of your DNA. And as you do that, it allows you to be present in two places, fully conscious, or even more than that, fully conscious in both places. And instead of saying, was I there or was I here? Where am I going? What's happening? You can then know, oh, I was there for this reason. I was here for this reason. And it all comes together as the whole. I mean, obviously that would make it really hard for people. So it's not going to be something that happens to everybody all at the same time. However, as you continue to grow and expand, and as you have that cellular support for yourself, this is one of the ways in which it's going to manifest. And there will be other ways that it will also manifest. Okay, so I wanted to start with that. Now, I know that there was already that question about nuclear war. I wanted to see if I could go deeper into the discussion about Iran and Israel. So when we did that mini the other day, you know, the comment, one of that I believe it was me who said, one of us said, you know, well, this is a really bad group and this is a really bad group, and they're kind of taking each other out. So what's important to know, and I feel as if this is, you could see it in many, many of the places that you might be looking for, those of you that are already awake, is that the head of Israel it's not about the traditional Judaic people. This is all put forth by the nefarious ones, by the Khazarian mafia or the Khazarian cabal. And they're the ones that were put in that place for a reason, to be able to control and manipulate. We're not talking, I mean, yes, indeed, what was it, 80 years ago, but we're talking that throughout the last 4,000 years, there have been strategic places in which these different peoples were placed, and then they created a story around them, or they created a reality around them. And then whether it was true or not, they started telling, this is the story about that people, or this is the story about this people, hiding inside of that what is the truth. So what you have now as the head of Israel is someone that is not for the people. They are part of the Mossad, I think the name is. They're part of the people that have been wreaking havoc in that area for a very, very long time. And they are playing both sides of the coin. And frequently people would say, well, the United States is behind them, because yes, the United States was behind them, but it was when the United States was part of the corporation of the United States, which was the same equal bad, negative people. And so as the change has been taking place, where they've been filtering out the corporation of the United States, I believe it went bankrupt a while ago. And as they're bringing back the Republic of the United States, that part is not going to support what's going on over there. And the CIA was one of the ways in which this corporate United States was having an impact on that, or interacting with them, sending money, supporting them. Same going on with Iran. And this is what these Khazarians have done for so very, very long. They stimulate war because they make money off of war. They stimulate, they put one name under them and they cause problems over here. They put a new name under them and they cause problems over here, but it's all the same when you peel away the layers. And this information is out there. It's available to anyone, but people have to look for it. So I see that rising up to the surface, where it's going to be made known to everyone so that people will know. As to what's going on in Iran, I feel as if the what was he called? The Ayatollah has already been taken out. And was he killed in that raid? I don't think so. I think he was already taken out. And you remember how I said I could see this swell of energy coming up behind it. Well, in both of these countries, I see huge transformation taking place. I see, as they take out these nefarious ones from both countries, they're going to resort back. I see that Israel and Palestine creating a cohesive place to live without warfare. I see taking out the radicals, that Iran will go back to what it was before. And I see the people that are rising up are going to be those that are supportive of the people. Honestly, and this is true worldwide, it is only those few that want the nuclear wars and keep talking about the nuclear wars. So as they continue to be removed and as they keep taking out the potential for nuclear war, then those that are left behind, that which is the average citizen, which is that good person, if you want to call them that, then they will be able to rise to the surface, and it will cause that whole entire area to go back to cohesive, cooperative countries that recognize that they are better working together with one another than be torn apart with the dissent that was intentionally taking them apart. So, yeah, I did want to go into a little bit more detail about that. Okay, let's see. I feel like there's one more thing I wanted to say. What was it? I don't know. I feel like there's all of this stuff is just sitting up here. There's a lot to talk about. So everyone keeps asking about disclosure. Everyone keeps wanting to know, when are they going to have the big thing like the EBS or something like that. So let me come back in. I kind of got a little bit distracted looking at those two countries. I want to take a step back and I want to just look at those countries again and see if I see Netanyahu in chains, and what is that, handcuffs, and I see them walking him out. I see various people all around the planet in handcuffs being walked out. So if that image is a metaphor to say, yes, they're going to be shown what they did and what this was all about, then that's what's going to happen, and they will and they will take them out. And again, many of them have already been removed because they could not be left in that place. And so then what you see are people that understand that the illusion needed to continue for a period of time. And that illusion is being removed, and it is no longer, I mean, it's there. Obviously it's there because all of you keep, know that it's there, and because that's what you see in your everyday life, but it's not going to be that for terribly much longer. I feel like you're definitely at the end of that. Okay, I guess let's just jump into some questions then. The information coming out about Air India plane crash feels off to me. Can you look into that and see if we're being duped about the crash? That's a good question, because I remember like seeing it through Shelly's eyes. I remember her saying, she thought there was something about it too. Let's look at the Air India crash. What was the intention? Was it for real? And what happened? Okay. I think two things were going on. I think there was a crash, and I think there's a lot of AI around it. So that image that they showed of it starting to take off and then just landing, I don't feel like that took place. I feel like that was AI generated. However, I feel like there was a plane that had, be it bombs on it, or I think there was a plane that had a bad intention that was going to go and bomb a lot of people. I feel like that was behind, that sense of going up and down. No, that just feels like AI to me. There were people that lost their lives, and there is a lot that's being withheld from the public. So that image that you show, I don't feel as if it's 100% accurate, because I definitely saw AI. I just saw a computer there, and hands going like this on the computer. So I think that was telling me that it was AI, at least to a degree. But something did happen, and I'm just feeling like it was something that was going to be worse than what it was. And so it was more like a controlled taking it down. I'm not getting a clear answer because I'm not saying it's being blocked from me. I'm saying that there's so much different information coming from the many different sides. And as I take a deep breath in and try to clear everything out, the two things that come through is that somehow AI was involved in it and that it was intended for a really bad reason, like releasing biotoxins or something like that. And so something got in and removed that and kept it from being as bad as it was supposed to be. And so as to what the exact parts of it were, that part I'm not seeing clearly. Might you know if the Senate hearing going on now regarding the Myrna COVID vaccine that causes 74% of deaths will lose the battle in the courts? Okay. The bottom line is, will the Myrna lose the battle in the courts? I don't think it's Myrna. I think it's Morena. I think, sorry. So the thing in the courts, I feel as if on the first round, it might lose. However, I think they're already planning for the next step. I think they're planning for it to lose. And then they're going to bring out more information, and then it's going to be showing that whether it's the judges that were not being accurate or the Senate that was not, somehow, some way, it feels like there's a loss and then a win. And that this loss is going to be a way of showing up the corruption that's been going on, and that as that gets shown to people, then it's going to change everything around in the Senate. And that, yes, eventually, if not, it feels like the second time, then it is going to come out that the problems from the vaccines. I also feel that as we're sitting here looking at this, and then you get a bunch of people looking at it, I mean, way more than us, everyone else that's looking at it, sometimes you can change the outcome of things because of people putting their focus on it. And so I do see a slight potential that it'll pass the first time, but I feel like there's a loss, an exposure, and then a win. So it's actually going to take two levels or two steps. I'm extremely worried about chemtrails in my area of Australia. They are blocking out our sun. Man, chemtrails so strong it actually blocks the sun. Okay, and burning the inside of my nose and causing sneezing, nasal congestion. I believe they're also killing birds, bees. Do you see this coming to an end? I wonder what part of Australia that person lives in. If you're on here, can you tell me what part of Australia? It feels like towards the west, like west of Uluru. But I don't know for sure. Okay. So I know about the chemtrails, and I know, usually it's like a stream of chemical that is released. But this feels like it's something more so like a blanketing it, and much more expansive. And Australia is still in a place of having to get rid of a lot of the nefarious ones. And so it does feel like this is related to the nefarious ones. And it does feel as if, I mean, I just cannot help but see that it's not going to go on much longer. I know I've said that many, many times, and then it doesn't manifest that way. But this to me feels like it's different than the typical chemtrails. It feels like it has a much more nefarious intention behind it. And I'm actually wondering if maybe there's something else that's going to come behind and is actually going to clear out a lot of that. But it does feel as if it's chemical. It does feel as if it's put out there by the nefarious ones, but it also feels as if this is like the last ditch effort. That's what I keep seeing over and over. This is the last ditch effort. And so be aware that what you can do to keep your energy clear is, like, I recognize when you're outside, you can't do it when you're outside, but be anything that you can do to clear your own energy anything that you can do to clear the energy of the land around you is going to help that. Now, when you said the bees, I had a little niggling that, the bees are one of the ways that it keeps things pollinated, and it's a much bigger importance to it than many people give it credit for. And I did have this sense of someone wanting to bring down the agricultural system by killing off bees and birds and some of the animals and stuff like that. I feel like that was the intention behind it, and that was why you feel it so strongly, but it's not going to happen. It feels like it's at the end of this, and anything that you can do to make physical changes to cleanse the old energy of your home, your yard, whatever it may be, do that, and that will also help. But I just don't, all of these types of chemical things, it's being shown, the public knows what's going on. It's being shown to so many people. And until that final takedown of the nefarious ones takes place, I feel like it's not going to go away 100%. But once they do, I feel like there's going to be all sorts of things that are just going to clear the energy. Some coming up from inside the earth, some from the top of the earth, and you'll see much bigger changes then. So I hope it won't go on too terribly much longer, but I do just have this strong sense that you're at the end of these types of things. But this one felt different. The one that you were talking about that I tapped into, it felt different than the others. It felt like there was something bigger to it. And it was intended to have multiples of those, but I only see one, maybe two, and it feels like then there's a change taking place. Whew, boy, that was a tough one for some reason. Should we be concerned about Palantir technology? Palantir technology. It feels like this that you're referring to as Palantir technology feels like it's kind of like something that was ancient many, many, many thousands of years ago. And it feels like there are going to be many different types of technologies that come up that you will think are going to be brand new, or that you think are going to be coming from the universe. And it actually is something that's been on your planet. And as they get into more of the free energy and stuff like that. But this Palantir technology, it feels like there's something about it that feels very old and ancient. And whatever this person is talking about, I don't have a lot of the specifics that are coming to me, but I do have this sense that it's in the beginning phases, and it has the potential that it will grow into something much, much bigger. But it's what you're seeing now is early stages. And somehow I think it might be associated with AI or something like that. But it feels like it's going to evolve, it's going to change, and it will be something more at some point in the future. Is it true that many countries are experiencing massive floodings, or is that AI generated? There's a lot of AI generated images that talk about natural disasters around the world. That big volcano that we talked about earlier, the flooding, the tsunamis, the hurricanes. There is a lot of that that's going on because there is a lot of the land that needs to be cleared out. But I don't think it's as bad as what the images are showing. I think there's a lot of AI generated that's put out there by the nefarious ones with the clear intention of bringing fear into people and trying to bring things down. Was the Army Parade a signal that Washington, D.C. and the Vatican are no longer under the British? Are we now sovereign? So the Army Parade had way more significance than the fact that it was the birthday. It did have an alignment, but what kind of got me a little bit, okay, under the British, because when the United States was the corporation of the United States, it wasn't under the British. It was under the Khazarian, the cabal and the mafia and whatever names you want to give to those people. So when I look at that, I'm thinking, yeah, this is saying that you no longer have the corporation of America, which is what's been here. That's what the Civil War was about in the U.S., and it was trying to be brought in before that. So what that was showing was that the Republic of the United States is returning, and that is what's going to happen. I get this sense around 4th of July or something like that. I think it was already implemented, and then it's just going to be told to everyone. When they talked about that, what were they calling those? No King riots and stuff like that. One of the reasons behind that is this is still trying to generate the anti-Trump people to, get out there and wreak havoc. But it was also about, they knew that they are getting very, very, very close to when they come back and they declare the Republic, then, and they go back into following the letter of the Republic, then all of these corrupt judges are going to go away. All the IRS is going to go away. All of these things that were implemented to send the money to the families, of the central bank and everything else, then all of that is going to come down. So many of those riots were intended to be a distraction so that people wouldn't realize. I mean, when you looked at those images that most of you saw, they felt like they were legit to me. They feel like that was really showing you the number of people that are behind this, that are interested in coming back into the balance, and they know that they need to get rid of these people that have hijacked this country for so very long. And so that was the real meaning behind it. But yeah, and to me, it wasn't about the British. It was more so about the cabal and those people. When will EBS go for the United States? The EBS is going to be modified. The main thing that needs to happen is that they need to bring down the traditional media, and some of them are going to be just a replacement where they have new people, new format, new background, everything going in, and they explain this is what's going on. Some of them are just going to go away completely, and then there will be a lot of other ways in which they will inform people. So it doesn't feel like it's going to be the type where it shuts everything else off and you have nothing but the EBS, but it does feel like it's basically many of them will start telling everyone what's going on. Everything's already been said. Not everything, but much of it has already been said. But it's about taking it from the background, from the alternative media, and putting it in the foreground. So that's when people will really begin to know and understand. And once that happens and they start all those arrests, I saw looking at so many people, I saw them being arrested. And as that happens, then people can't ignore it any longer. And it feels like there's going to be a blast of anger and violence as these people are fighting for their lives for the last time. So be aware of that, but always hold the balance and always hold the intention that any violence or things that happen are going to be transitional and quick to move out. So when is it going to happen? It could, I just keep seeing with the United States, with the 4th of July being the anniversary or the birth of the nation, whatever you want to call that. That feels to me like there's going to be stuff around that. And also with the solstice just being a few days away, that's of course an opening of a great amount of energy and transition. So it could be just the next couple of weeks, or it could trickle on and trickle on and trickle on. But so many people now are like, stop the trickling, bring it all out and put it out there. So that's why I see things amping up. All right. Looks like that was the last one. So thank you for this opportunity to share this time with me. I'm always appreciative of you. I love these times of conversation, and know that I'm always with you on Saluia. Greetings. It is I, Crystallia, and I get to go last this time. I'm very excited about this change coming up with the solstice. And we just call it the solstice because I know for as many of you, it's the summer as it is the winter. And but this is truly a significant one. I know that when Albayon was talking about what you see in the moons, and I know that with the central sun, I took some time to go back to or connect with my family that is in my other universe, which is where I come from. And what they're telling me is that they have had changes also, and just upgrade in frequency, seeing things differently, feeling things differently. So I think it's important to know that, well, this is all, your focus, and and there are many people that think there's only Earth, but to understand that this transition that you are experiencing and that you are very much a conscious part of is way more than just you or just humanity or just this planet. It's about many, many, many species. It's about moving throughout this entire universe, and it's about moving into the other multiverse. This is a significant increase in energy. And just as you guys go back and you think about Atlantis, or you think about Lemuria, if you were to jump forward thousands of years, you're going to be talking about this time as the same thing. So it is a very significant point. It's definitely making those spikes of energy and awareness in the timeline of history. Okay. Now, coming in with these influx of energy that's coming, it's been coming in all along. Those of you that like to look at the Schumann resonance, and those of you that have felt the energy coming in, you have been aware that there have been influxes of energy that have been coming in all along. And so those influxes of energy will continue just as they have in the past. But the difference is the frequency that's coming in, or the just as they spoke before about different aspects of things that have to do with your intention behind it. This feels as if this is the intention that the universe or the central sun is putting out. It's almost as if it's saying, here it is, don't mess around anymore, move forward. And so that's why what's coming in now is going to be very significant, and it's going to be something felt by everyone, and it's just going to be a really important time for what's happening. Okay, wanted to say that. Another thing that I wanted to share is, sorry, sometimes I just send too much energy down into Shelly, and her brain just kind of freezes there. So give me a second here, because I did want to talk about more. What I would love for everyone to do is deconstruct some of your belief systems. Your belief systems are important because you learn them. Sometimes they're a cellular memory from other lifetimes. Sometimes it's what you learn when you're a young child. And then as an adult, no matter what your experiences are, it creates a belief system around it. And those belief systems are all kind of racking up in and around your consciousness and your unconsciousness. And that's what creates not only you, the person you are, but you as part of humanity. And as changes are going to take place, there is much of that old belief system that needs to be deconstructed, you could say. So, of course, there's always the potential of like that laser light coming through and just cutting through and dissolving everything. But the thing is, the way that humans have been created, or the way that your ego works with things, it would say, no, that was just a fluke, bring it back. So when I talk about deconstructing or dismantling these belief systems, it's about going in and recognizing that there are things that you have no idea what they are and how they're going to impact you. So therefore, you're putting up barriers. But I'm asking you to let those barriers go by the wayside, and any past experiences that cause you to be very wary or very careful, let them go by the wayside, and begin to open up your energy, be it your consciousness, your unconscious, your emotions, your thoughts. Open up all of this so that you can then receive things that you don't have any way of describing right now. But as that integrates and gets inside of you, then most often in hindsight, you say, now I understand what that was. You each have had this going on for the past 5 to 10 years. So that's the type of stuff that's going to amp up even higher. So when you open up your consciousness or you open up belief systems to something that you have no time frame for, it's about you completely stepping out and allowing it all to come in. You've got your physical, mental, emotional, all those energy bodies that make up who you are. So you step aside as much as you can, let all of that come in and let it work with you. And then as you see life differently, make new choices. As you feel things differently, let that adjust for you. It's not, as a general rule, the way that humanity has been programmed is that change is bad, change is negative, change is hard, change is going to pull me down. So that's probably the first thing to let go of. When you have that conscious choice, that conscious realization that everything coming in is for the betterment of me, the person, and humanity as a race, then you can create a little trust, or you can create part of the belief system that this is in my best interest. This is something that's going to help me out, and I am therefore open to receive. Now, you are just coming out of a time in your lifetimes or a time in your history when there was massive control and manipulation going on. So within that control and manipulation, you were taught not to trust, not to believe. And that when you did blindly open up and believe, that created all of these problems that you have. So this is exactly what I'm talking about. So how do people take something that is the exact opposite of what they've just learned to come out of and not blindly trust, and learn to blindly trust? So it's about recognizing that when the vibration is of a particular frequency, or when you feel a certain way, if it's something that ultimately causes you to feel better, or feel like you're expanding, or feel like you're happy, or feel like you're excited, then that's always going to be in your best interest. But it's also that recognition that we're coming out of being controlled and manipulated, and learning to think for ourselves, and, oh, here's something else that's coming in. I will step into it with a certain degree of trust and see if it helps me. Even just giving us that will make a difference, because at least then you're opening up to more. So I've kind of walked through these different levels of this consciousness, and it's important for you to experience that so that you can then know, okay, this is what I'm going to do. This is how it's going to help me. And not only is it going to help me, but it's going to help all of society. Phew. Okay. So I wanted to talk about that. And the last thing that I want to mention before I answer questions is I would really invite all of you to start practicing telepathy with the collective consciousness. For example, if you have something that you've been wanting to know about, I realize that there are many, many of you that are now asking questions of the AI. Well, try something different. How about if you go into meditation and you bring that question that you want to ask into your heart, into your consciousness, into your energy, and just ask it of the universe yourself, or ask it of the collective consciousness, or ask it of your soul, and see what answers you may get. This is a way that you will be able to strengthen that and have that all happening within you, so that you're not learning to depend on something else. AI is going to be fabulous. It can be very fabulous. It's going to be very helpful for you in many ways. But we all three have spoken about at various times about we don't want people to blindly trust in AI. So this is how you can strengthen it within yourself, that you go either to your higher self, your soul, the consciousness of the universe. Ask those questions yourself and see how you get those answers. Number one, it's going to allow your clairvoyance to get stronger. Number two, it's going to allow just all of your senses to receive this information, and then you integrate it into you so that it can allow you to practice not only expanding all of your intuition, but practice receiving information, and then you can do with it what you will. Some of you may decide, oh, I'm going to write about it. Or others of you may decide, oh, that's going to help me with this project I'm working on, and insert it into a particular project. So whatever it is that may come to you, be aware that that information is all there and available to you. It's about you asking to know it and then opening to receive it. This is another way of practicing using and strengthening your gifts, and that also is going to expand your DNA. This is also going to strengthen and support you in many different ways. Whew. Okay. Any questions for me tonight? Was David Wilcock a successful author and contributed to a program called Ancient Aliens? Was he King David in a past lifetime? I'm not seeing a connection to that. I don't. There are many figures in history that many of you tapped into their, when you talk about the, what did you call that here? Akashic records. Those Akashic records, some of them were collective consciousness experiences, and people would tap into that and you could see an alignment within them. So that's what I'm seeing here. I don't get a strong, yes, he was that King David, but I do feel like he himself reached out and created that alignment or created that reality. And so that's the way it's coming back for. Am I splitting hairs? Maybe. But to ask me directly, was he King David that is known as King David in the histories? The answer I get is no. But there are ways in which he worked with it. And he definitely was a writer and contributor into that series called Ancient Aliens. Are there many people living on Earth now who were living on the planet Maldek when Lucifer blew it up from the war in heaven? The planet Maldek. There are some people that are here now. It felt as if after that happened, it felt as if he came onto this planet and he kind of populated a few different planets. And that was a lot of the foundation for the negativity that was here on this planet. But as to the people that are here, I'm not seeing like a big block of energy that came from there, came to here. I think there were many that have worked with fallen angels, and it has been their intention to work with fallen angels over many different lifetimes, and they have all been present during this lifetime and on the planet here. But to see a direct link from that to that, I don't see it. That's not my perception. Mexican politician named Jose Ramon. Is he from the light? And if so, does he have a chance to be president? Jose Ramon down in Mexico. I see a lot of light energy in and around him. And yes, he has a chance to be president, but it doesn't feel like it's immediate. It feels like he's someone that people pivot around, and he's a magnet for bringing people to him. And it does feel as if he is a leader in many different ways. There is a potential for him to be president, but I'm not getting a strong yes, he's going to be the next one. I feel like his job is to gather people around him and bring many people together. And I definitely see light shining from him. Can you help in more ways to improve my telepathic energies? I have been working on them with my soul more and putting my thoughts into the universe in the past month has been fabulous for me. Excellent. So what I'll do with everybody that's here, and of course that's more than everyone physically here, anyone that's listening to this, anyone that's open and wants this experience, I'm just going to create an alignment between me as my consciousness and my energy into every one of you. Whew. And as I do so, I send it in wave after wave after wave of love. Of course, only if you want this. And then as each one of you receives this, I illuminate within you, whether it goes into your DNA, your thoughts, your beliefs, your emotions, wherever it may be within your physical and non-physical bodies. I just strengthen that alignment up into your soul, including your higher self, so that everything is activated and everything works immediately. Now, that creating an intention, waiting to manifest, it can happen immediately or it can happen over time. Sometimes you have to make other steps for things to happen. So there's many different ways in which that can manifest. But I'm just continuing to pulsate energy and light into anyone that's open to receive. And as I do so, I just invite you to just allow all of this to strengthen and expand and really help you, that you resonate in the best possible way, that it strengthens you, that it supports you in the very best possible way. Whew. Very cool. Very cool. And thanks for that that confirmation that as you've been practicing these things, you could definitely see a difference in the past month. That's awesome. Thank you. Was that the last question then? Looks like it was. So as always, we are here in support of humanity. We are here to bridge the energies from that which is the universe and that which is your planet. We are incredibly excited about all that is taking place. The newer frequencies, the newer codes, whatever it is that you want to call them, they are all here, they are all present, and they will just continue to integrate. And as these integrate into you, and as they become a part of each one of you as humans and your collective consciousness and everything else, then understand that many of those old ways of doing things are just not going to be possible. So be strong, be present, be resolute, and know that we are all in this together on Saluia. Whew. All right. This is Shelly back now. Wow, that was very cool. So what was interesting to me is it felt like everything was said faster. I don't know if I was talking faster or, but I don't know. It just was a sense of like being really fast or sped up, because I know I looked at it one time and said, well, she's almost done, but it's only been 25 minutes or something. Some of these can be incredibly long, and it was still a long time. I get that. But I don't know. To me, the energy felt like it went quicker and that things were said quicker. And Crystallia's transmission, you know, that integration of that energy, that was super cool. I just loved it. So, so very fun time tonight, as always. Thank you everyone for being here. Thank you once again, Alexander, for all the many years of help. I truly appreciate it. And I'll see you guys next time. If this is your first time, don't forget to subscribe if you're interested, and I'll see you later. Bye-bye.